Hey there, growers. Welcome back to another episode. If you're listening to this while pulling weeds, checking your drip lines, or turning over compost in your backyard, stop what you're doing for a second. Look down at your feet. What do you see? Dirt, soil. What if I told you that right beneath your boots, a wild, subterranean livestock operation is happening? In your tomato plants, your peppers, and your fruit trees are the ranchers. For years, we've been told that plants are passive. We think they just sit there like vegetables. Well, because they are vegetables, soaking up water and dissolved fertilizer like a kid sipping a juice box. But groundbreaking research out of the institutions like Rutgers University has completely flipped that script. The newest, most explosive discovery in soil science proves that plants are not vegan. They don't just absorb nutrients, they actively hunt, capture, strip search, and farm bacteria and fungi. It is a process called Rhizophagy Cycle, literally root eating. And today, we're breaking down exactly how it works, why it is your absolute best friend during a harsh growing season, and how you can take action this weekend to turn your garden into the highest performing self-feeding ecosystem. Let's dig in. All right, let's paint a picture. Imagine the tip of a growing plant root. It's pushing through heavy clay or sandy loam. That root tip is constantly secreting a sticky, sweet cocktail of sugars, proteins, and vitamins. In the farming world, we call these root exudates. But out in the soil, that cocktail is pure bait. Microbes, specifically beneficial bacteria and fungi, can't resist it. They swim toward and root the root tip, throwing a massive party in a zone called the rhizosphere. Once the party gets crowded, the plant root does something devious. It literally engulfs the microbes. It swallows them whole into the outer cells of the root. Now, once inside, the plant isn't playing nice. It hits these microbes with reactive oxygen species, basically a microscopic chemical bath. This bath strips the cell's walls right off the microbes. This process doesn't completely kill them, but it makes them leak. And what leaks out? Pure bioavailable nitrogen, iron, zinc, and potassium. The plant feasts on the inside, absorbing these premium nutrients directly. But here's the most beautiful sci-fi twist of all. The surviving, stripped-down microbes are still inside the root. As the root grows, it pushes out tiny root hairs. The plant literally squirts the naked microbes out through the tips of these root hairs, back into the soil. Once they're back out in the wild, the microbes regrow their cell walls, look around, and start foraging for nutrients again. They bulk up, and then, you guessed it, they get lured back into the root for another round. It is a continuous, beautiful recycling loop. Your plants are literally managing a subterranean buffet, putting the microbes to work, harvesting the nutrients, and sending them back out for refills. When your soil is alive with rhizophagy, your plants don't need synthetic NPK fertilizers. Synthetic nitrogen is wildly inefficient. Science shows us 70% of it simply leaches out, away into the local watershed, or vaporizes into the air. Rhizophagy, on the other hand, delivers targeted organic amino acids and metals right where the plant needs them, without the waste. So that sounds amazing, right? But how do we, as a backyard farmer or a gardener, actually make this happen? How do we maximize this cycle? We don't need to buy expensive, overhyped rhizophagy booster bottles from the store. In fact, a lot of the university extension folks warn us, and trying to micromanage this with commercial inoculants is mostly clever marketing. Instead, you just need to create the perfect environment for the local microbes to thrive. Here are 3 tangible, evidence-based steps you can take in your garden right now. First, we have to stop using synthetic chemical fertilizers and heavy pesticides. Synthetic salts act like microscopic dehydrators. They shock and kill the very bacteria your plants are trying to farm. Instead of feeding the plant directly, your job is to feed the soil carbon. This weekend, top dress your garden beds with an inch of high quality compost and layer unsprayed straw, wood chips, and leaf mulch right on top. This carbon acts as the infrastructure and long-term fuel. It keeps the soil cool and under blistering summer sun, retains the previous water, and provides a permanent home for your microbial livestock. Second, remember that Rhizophagy Cycle requires a host. If you leave your garden beds bare over the winter or between crop rotations, the local micropopulations starve and plummet. We need living roots in the ground at all times. When your summer or tomatoes and peppers wrap up in the fall, don't leave the soil empty. Plant a multi-species cover crop. Throw down a mix of cereal rye to build deep organic matter, combining with daikon radish to naturally punch through dense soil, and crimson clover to fix nitrogen. The continuous root exudates will keep the microbial buffet open all winter long. Third, put down the rototiller every time we mechanically rip up the soil with physically shear the delicate fungal networks and disrupt the biological city centers where these bacteria live. It crushes the soil's natural pore space, the tiny air and water pockets that microbes need to breathe. It just crushes them. Switch to a no-tiller or no-dig system. Layer compost and mulch right on top of the soil, and let the earthworms and microbes do the digging for you. By protecting your soil structure, keeping it covered, and feeding it carbon, you aren't just growing plants anymore. You're managing a powerful, self-sustained engine of fertility. You're letting nature do the hard work for you, completely for free. The results? Better heat tolerance, drastically improved water retention, stronger pest resistance, and vibrant, nutrient-dense vegetables that actually taste the way they are supposed to. Thanks for tuning in. Slam the subscribe button to get notified and for grower support. When soil thrives, everything else follows.